Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you guys just give me a few moments, I want to make sure all the audio and everything is good, and then we'll get started properly, inshallah. So I'll check YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram and make sure everything is good, and we'll get going from there, inshallah. All right, mic check. Seems like YouTube is good. I'm gonna check on Facebook real. Okay. All right. So we're good on Facebook. I'm gonna check Instagram real quick, and hopefully we're good to go on that, inshallah. And then we'll get started properly, and you guys could hit me up any of your financial maximization questions, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Okay. So it seems like everything is set up. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So we'll get started properly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Ridwanullah family. Welcome to a new episode of the Ridwanullah Show. I'm your host, financial maximizer and coach, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you completely maximize your money in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Verily, all praise and thanks are due to Allah ta'ala, our creator, owner, and sustainer, the one who's worship without any associates or intermediaries. And may the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon the most esteemed leader and most honorable teacher, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, his companions, and those who follow him until the day of judgment. Allahumma ameen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. For this show, we will be talking about setting up your budgets. And you can you can hit me up with any of your financial maximization questions at 801-471-6491 bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and we'll try to do the best that we can to help you with any of your financial maximization questions bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The passion is the gift and the curse. So, when it is the gift and it's feeling good and it's blessed, we'll keep through it. And if it feels like a curse and, we don't want to do it at times, then we'll still pull through and get it done, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. But you guys can hit me up at 801-471-6491 with any of your financial maximization questions, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And one of the things that I wanted to say is it's really, really important to set up your budget. If you don't have a budget, like majority of us, you're going to have a really, really hard time with your money because you don't even know where you're at. So how can you control something you don't even know? Because knowing is half the battle, and that's what budgeting and doing your net worth updates is going to help you do. But we're going to focus on the budget portion of it, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, so we can take care of it as best as we possibly can, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So with that being said, I'll kind of go through a couple of the things regarding the budget that I'm personally working on myself. And hopefully it's something that's going to be, beneficial and useful for you, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. The problem that you're gonna encounter when setting up your budget that I've encountered myself is which budgets are you gonna, number one, and number two, how are you going to set these budgets, in which order? What are you going to do first, second, and third, and so forth and so on? And what kind of categories of budgets are there, and how can I make the most out of it? So, and what kind of equations and strategies am I going to use to maximize my money within these various budgets, right? So that's something that I'm encountering, and I'm pretty sure you're going to encounter as well. So I want to give you a little bit of detailed answer or general answer on that. And you guys can hit me up with any of your financial maximization questions at 801-471-6491 bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So the thing to keep in mind is generally there are three types of budgets that you have to set and work on and work towards bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The first one is a business slash investment budget, right? And these are the ones that bring in money, right? If an investment does not bring in money and is just an appreciating asset, then that's not something that you want to set up a budget for the most part. But if it is an investment, business obviously, and or investments that bring in money, then you want to bi'idhnillahi ta'ala set up budgets for those, right? And secondarily, you want to set up your employee budgets, right? All the jobs that you have will fall under your employee budget, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Now, if you're not an entrepreneur or an investor or any of those, especially the ones that bring in money, or you don't have any hopes or aspirations to do that, then you don't have to worry about setting up your business slash investment budgets. All you have to do is worry about the next two, which one of them we've already talked about, which was the employee budget. And that covers any of the payments you get from businesses and investments or organizations that are not directly related to that for the most part. And last but not least is the personal budget. Depending on how many households you have, you would set up a budget for it accordingly. Majority of the people have one personal budgets and households, so they would, take care of it in that way, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And that's something that I don't know why it took me so long to understand that there are three categories of budgets. And how to set it up, how to manage it, how to get and stay on top of it. It's still quite the climb for me, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. But I wanted to let you guys know that the reason why you're not sticking to your budget or you're not doing it properly is because there are these different categories of budgets that majority of the people don't tell you about. And they primarily and mostly focus on personal budgets, not telling you about the business and investment budgets or the employee budgets. And keeping track of all aspects of your money in that way by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So take care of those three categories of budgets. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the type of budget that you wanted to set up and the strategies that you're going to use. And for me, I thought it was important for me to align those things where they work together and not against each other. The type of budget that you want to set up is primarily called a zero-based budget. And the strategies that you're going to use is the pay yourself strategy. And those two, if you align it properly, they will take care of themselves. So, for example, when it comes to business, whatever your total profit is or your revenue is, that's what you take 10% of that and then you put it into the profit category, and portion of it you keep as retained earnings, and the other portion you pay out as dividends. And then the second category is you take care of any of your expenses and payroll. And then last but not least, you take care of your taxes by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's in that particular equation, and strategy. When it comes to your employee budget, you're looking at your gross income, right? And then you take out any of, you look at your net income first. You take that out, and then you calculate any of your taxes that is going to go out by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then moving on, last but not least, into your personal budget, the equation and strategy is you save at least and invest at least 10% of your money right off the bat. Secondarily, you spend your money on the expenses and bills that you have personally. And last but not least, you say, no, you give from your money by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, in those specific equations and strategies, you have a strategic system for your budgets and money by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's not an easy thing to set up, but once you are able to set it up properly, it's going to help you out tremendously by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So think about your budgets in those three categories. So if you have any of your financial maximization questions, you can hit me up at 801-471-6491. And in today's show, we're talking about setting up your budgets by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like I said, there are three categories of budgets that you want to set. Business and investments is always first, employee second, and last but not least is your personal budget. And in the management and controlling of those three variations is what is going to lead to your financial success by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's what I would advise you and myself. I'm only trying to give you the advice that I would need and use myself. So where is your budget right now? Is it set? Is it not? Are you confused about it? Are you not? Did you go and set it up? Are you using Excel or other apps and softwares or not? Some people use paper and pen. Other people use their phones. So many different options out there, but you have to know how to set it up properly by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So budgeting is crucial. I'm struggling with it myself, to be 100% honest with you. But inshallah, you take care of the substance and then the containers and lids. And some of us focus on the containers and lids more than we focus on the substance. So the substance is the outcomes and results, and the containers and lids is the categories and the organization that you set up for it. So focus on the substances first and get that to at least sufficient level, and figure out how to, strategically systematize that by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I hope that, you take care of your budget as best as you possibly can. It's not an easy thing to do, like I always mention, but it is something that is of utmost necessity by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let me know, do you have your budget set? If not, then let me know bi'idhnillahi ta'ala in the comments below. What are your budget goals? Like, how are you going to set up your budget, and what are you going to do to not, a lot of us have this fear, right? We don't want to look at these numbers. The reason why majority of us are not setting up our budgets is because we don't want to look at our financial reality. We don't want to face the truth. So the best way to avoid that is to, not even look at getting the numbers together to begin with. But if you're brave enough to look at the numbers and see where you're at financially and do something about it, then you want to start off by setting up a budget and looking at where things are realistically, so you can go ahead and do something about it by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't have your budget set up, you're in a long run, long haul with your money. So get your budget set up, do it in that particular order. That's what I would advise myself, and that's what I'm in the process of doing for myself by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And keep that in mind, inshallah. 801-471-6411 with any of your financial maximization questions on your financial maximization journey, marathon, and sprints, or the variations of them. Will be greatly appreciated. I set up this show so we can help you slowly but surely step up your financial game as I'm working to do by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you have any questions, you can call me, text me, or leave comments in the comment section below. Or last but not least, any other means of communication that would be viable or suitable for you by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, it's going to take some time to get it set up properly. And one of the other things that I realized that is making it hard for us to set up our budget, and not only set it up, but get and stay on top of it, is the fact that we're trying to make too many changes at once, that we end up making no changes at all. And that's bad, son. That's really bad. So, this is the advice that I'm giving to myself and everybody else, is to make specific and smallest amount of changes so that you will be able to make bigger and better changes as you move forward. But if you start with the bigger and better changes right now, you will be trapped in where you currently are. So you need to take care of changes in ways that are productive, ways that are entrapping, right? That's trapping you. So, that's one of the other advice that I want to give to myself and everybody else by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So think about that for a minute. Set up your budget properly. If you're not, the entrepreneur investor type that's looking for cash flow and you're only looking for paychecks, and one of my friends keeps reminding me that there's nothing wrong with that. Then if you are that entrepreneur and investor type and you're looking for cash flows from your businesses and investments, then you want to have three budgets, right? The business and investments, employee, and personal budgets. Now, if you're not that entrepreneurial investor type and trying to create cash flow through that, then you just want to keep two budgets, the employee budgets and the personal budgets. So those are some of the important things that I'm gathering from setting up your budget. So I hope that you can set that up as well. And you also want to do two things. Number one is choose where you're going to keep your actual budget, right? Is it through Excel or other apps and softwares and programs, right? Where are you going to do that? And number two, where are you going to track your money? And the thing with that is the best place to track your money is through your cell phone. Since you're always keeping your cell phone with you, track your money through your cell phone and manage your money through your cell phone if you can set it up always all the way like that. But you could either do it on your desktop or laptop for the actual program, and then track your money on your phone and update it there, or keep everything on your phone and or your desktop and laptop, which some technologies allow you to do. So that's something that you want to decide up front. Where are you going to house your budgets and tracking, money budgets and tracking? And for me, I would recommend starting off with Excel. If you're not that technologically savvy, then you can just figure out how to use some of the apps, and that'll help you with that by the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's some of the things that I wanted to mention to you guys, so you could have a little bit of different ideas and different lessons in your head about how to set up your budget properly. And last but not least, don't forget to set it up and get and stay on top of your budgets and tracking of your money by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if there aren't any questions, I'll be wrapping it up here. But if you have any questions, you can call, text, and comment, or any other means of communication that is suitable for you. You can hit me up at 801-471-6491 bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So we'll be finishing up the Ridwanullah show and moving on to the Mohamud show. Sooner or later we'll find something that sticks between the shows. But right now I'm in that exploration phase on what sticks and what doesn't, and the order in which we're going to do it in. But think about that and work through that by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're going to be talking about, what was it? Let me see. Improving your diet on the Mohamud show, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So, something to keep in mind. Here we're talking about setting up your budgets. It's a financial maximization focused show, and the other one is a life maximization focused show. So we're able to help you in these two different aspects of life by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think that's pretty much it. Jazakumullahu khair, Ridwanullah family, for tuning in to a new episode of the Ridwanullah Show. I'm your host, financial maximizer and coach, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you completely maximize your finances in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.